Hey everybody, welcome to Workforce Gaming. I'm Brad, here with Doug.
Hey.
After a ton of time, I've finally gotten to go back in time to see the Final Fantasy games that predate the PlayStation 1. So the Pixel Remasters finally got released on Switch. I immediately went and grabbed Final Fantasy 4. So Final Fantasy 4 was the first Final Fantasy on Super Nintendo. I have never played one pre-6, and I just played 6 like a year ago. So
Interesting. I didn't realize you started with... So you started with 7 then?
I started with 7. 7 was where I started.
Interesting.
I think I started with 8.
Probably, yeah.
I didn't like it, and then I went back to 7, and then I did 9. So I think it was like 8, 7, 9, 10, I think, or something like that. But so I had no experience with the older ones at all. So I was really excited with Pixel Remasters coming to jump in with these, and having just played 6, and 6 honestly at this point is top 3 Final Fantasy for me. So I was kind of curious to see more from this era of Final Fantasy with Final Fantasy 4, which I know is not considered to be like the peak of Final Fantasy, but is definitely considered to be on the good side of on the really good side of Final Fantasy.
I always see this one as like the cool kids Final Fantasy. Like the people, it's like people always talk like, 6 is like it's the most people like 7, and some people like 10, but then like the real fans like 6, but then the real cool fans like 4.
it's like oh no, you think 6 is good? Have you tried 4?
Exactly.
No, and that's kind of what it is too, where it's like there's some lists where it ends up at like number 3, and you're like, is it though?
Yeah.
And it might be. It is very good. So just kind of to get into it, it's a fairly straightforward story. You play as Cecil, who is the captain of the Red Wings, and basically what happens is you get this mission from the king, and there's something weird kind of going on that you kind of have this like hazy, like, I don't feel right about this. And he gives you kind of this magic spell to go into this town and go and just kind of fight this ongoing war. And when you go into the town, basically this magic just erupts and just decimates the town.
Oh shoot! He like sent you in with like a nuke sort of thing.
Basically, like there's like one
cool.
or two people. It's like you and like one or two other people make it out of this town, and basically the first like few, maybe 10-20% is you going like, well, what the hell is happening right now? What's going on? And it kind of gets into like how the king and one of your friends, Kane, are being controlled by this mysterious guy who's kind of shadow controlling everything from the background. And from there, it's kind of just your general Final Fantasy story, but it's very personal stakes for a lot of it. Just in terms of like what the characters are going through. There's lots of this person, like, again, the town's destroyed. So, okay, well, that killed my friend, that killed my daughter, that killed this person. So everybody kind of has this really deep personal investment in it that I think really hits hard versus, a lot of Final Fantasies where it's just like, oh yeah, you're coming through my town. I always wanted to go on an adventure. Oh no, every person for the most part seems like they have a reason for being in the party and having a reason for why they want to go along with this. And the characters are all just very, very well done. It doesn't have like the like stringent party throughout. You do a lot of character swapping in and out where it makes sense. So like this character will come in and then our party will split to do something, and then you'll get these couple characters, and this character's only available for maybe 5% of the game and he'll be there. So there's lots of party switching in and out, which kind of keeps it fresh because you're constantly talking with different people. You're not always having that one character in the background who's just been there since the beginning because they've been there since the beginning.
I'm surprised it's like as early as Final Fantasy 4, because like it seems like the later ones like didn't do that, which is like which is kind of a complaint that I feel like they've actually kind of gone back to with, like, especially with Final Fantasy 7 remake. They definitely went back to that of like your party is here because it makes sense for all, and all your party members are going to be involved in the cutscenes, and they kind of went away from that for a while.
And same with 16 is kind of trending that way too, where it's like, okay, we're focusing kind of on this one character, and that's 90% of this is focused on our one main character, and these other kind of supporting characters are there to kind of help them along with it. So it's a much different structure, I feel like, than a lot of them have, and I really liked that a lot.
If you like what you've heard so far, please subscribe to our channel for more discussion-based reviews. I had a quick question. Because it's a Super Nintendo era game, and you're saying like, oh, these characters are really cool. Is Super Nintendo era writing is not always the strongest, so are you still like connecting with these characters and stuff, even if it's, or I guess how is the writing? I guess I'm just very curious about that, especially like a very story heavy game from Super Nintendo's different
from
than
the
a very
early
story heavy
90s.
game today. Yeah, exactly.
It's good. I mean, it's early '90s writing. It's very straightforward. Like, you killed my daughter, I'm gonna get.
Sure.
But there is a lot of
Yep.
there's a lot of good personal stakes, and there's a lot of discussion of how these relationships work. I think it's well written. Again, it kept me hooked the whole time. I was interested in what was going. I actually, because they made a DS version of this.
Yeah.
And so I was actually curious because that has like voice acted cutscenes and everything. So I actually went back after I played it and watched the like hour and 20-minute quote unquote movie of all the cutscenes.
Yeah.
And I actually felt that it hit harder in the Pixel Remaster than in that one. I think just because of like the pacing and as you're going through, then actually hearing him voicing it. That one has kind of I don't know if it's DS or 3DS, but it has that kind of like
DS, yeah.
Yeah, it just kind of has that like that DS kind of like style to it that I feel like is not, you know what I mean?
It's cheap. It's like a chibi-esque thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And that just kind of took some of the like the emotion, some of the serious, some of thatness out of it. Just kind of seeing these kind of good looking character models, but just not what, I'm picturing when I'm looking at my little Super Nintendo character. You're kind of trying to visualize that better.
Because I think that's one of the things that this is not. I'm going to spin this off I'm not going to spin this off in a larger discussion. But I think one of the things that games do a bad job of now is requiring any imagination on the part of the player.
Yeah.
But like you just said, it's like, actually no, this is how the characters I viewed. So even if the writing is, let's say the writing in Super Nintendo isn't great, you're still putting a lot of yourself into the imagination of like, you know what? Yeah, maybe just on its face value, these 2D characters talking, but you're imagining it. You're putting your own kind of stamp on it as you're watching these things. Yeah,
exactly, which I think works really well. And light spoilers, but there's a lot of death in this game too. Main characters die, like party characters die as you go throughout this. And again, I think that just works really well in the style that it's done, and that kind of keeps you hooked in. And I think that leans to that, able to get that emotional investment into these characters because the stakes feel real as you're going through there. It feels, okay, this person died. Like, now that is my goal because that person died. Like, and again, some of them are characters you spend lots of time with, and characters that you just bump into, and characters that you have very close personal relationships with. So, very well done. The other thing with the characters that I love about this is their powers fit the character. So, for one example, you meet this old, like, super old, like 70-year-old mage, right? He's the black mage, white mage, all this stuff. So normally in a Final Fantasy game, in any JRPG, when you meet a character, they come in and they like kind of like auto set them close to your level within +or -5, right? And you kind of get that.
Sure.
And you build their skill tree. This dude joins your party and has the entire range of black magic spells.
Oh, that's so cool. That's cool.
and you get him
awesome.
You get him maybe 25 to 30, quarter to a third of the way through the game, and he just shows up and has literally like fire aga, fire like all of them.
Oh, that's really sick.
That's
awesome.
And
that's
the one spell that he's trying to get, and again, light spoilers, is the one spell that he hasn't mastered is meteor. So like that's part of his like, in order to do this, I need to learn the final spell. I need to learn meteor.
That's so funny.
But again, because he's 70 years old, his health is like a quarter of everybody else's.
Oh, that's real. Oh, wow.
So again, this dude comes in with like every black magic spell you can imagine.
Yeah.
My characters were like 2,000 HP. He comes into my party with 500 HP and like 2 strength. So I don't think like a physical attack ever does more than 1. Like it's pretty easy for him to die, but he's got just like obscenely powerful spells. And there's a couple instances really like that of characters joining in with you, and because of who they are, they just have that. Like at one point a summoner joins and she just has 7 summons when she joins your party.
So sick.
Because she literally like it's like an in and out thing for her, and you meet her and she has 1 or 2, and then you meet her like towards the end of the game again, she like revisits or something. And
she's
now
gotten
she's
summons
just
like on her,
and now
on
she's
her personal
gotten
journey.
this stuff while she's gone.
Oh, that's neat.
So it's a lot of stuff like that where it's just like really cool, unique things that just we went away from through the Final Fantasy series that feel very unique to this, that I really liked about it.
It is funny because like some of the things you were talking about, it's like, oh, that was in Final Fantasy. It's like, I feel like our age people, like a lot of our people, it's our age. It's like our reference is 7 for everything. It's like, well, actually 7
is when Final Fantasy started.
Sorry, yeah, exactly. And then, but it's like, oh, actually 7's been doing a bunch of other motifs on other things. Like when you said meteor, I was like, meteor. It's like, oh, that's like the big plot point of 7. But no, it's like, it's really, it's kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a huge plot point in 4 as well. And it's super fun. Again, every character has unique abilities that suit them and you kind of can play with those. And again, as the characters swap in and out, it's obviously turn-based. It's kind of the active time gauge going. It's got all those Final Fantasy things. It all works well. And again, what you're kind of saying, I think, is what really hit me with this. And it hit me a little bit more with 6 too, but I think just because 6 is 6 and everybody's like, oh, 6 is it. It hit me with this that, okay, even before 6, we see all these things and they're done really well. And that's the thing that shocked me, is because it feels like you go to that early point and you're like, okay, this is going to have our active time battle, but it's going to be kind of janky and it fits, it works. We're going to play with the characters, but like it's not balanced and it works. It's just... It's very cool. It's very unique, and just a cool place to see kind of where Final Fantasy not starts from, but again, first Super Nintendo one. So I think a lot of things can be traced back to this one.
Nice. That's cool.
But we are Workforce Gaming. We try and put up new videos every Monday. Leave a comment, subscribe to our channel, and we will see you later.
Bye.